You want to sit here?
Okay, I hope everybody's all full. Had enough to eat, enough kais. So it's good to have the whānau come to support here all the way from Morrinsville tonight as well. So that's awesome. Yeah, so thank you all for coming. So nā mai hara mai ki te whare manaki here at Care Junction. Mihi nui ki koutou. It's great that everybody has come. We're excited to hear the story tonight. So we have just to put you in the context. I'm just going to introduce Odis over here. This is let's give him a big hand. All right, Odis. Yep. And this is Joyce.
Good everyone.
And we've got Sharni down there. She's a bit shy, but she might. we might hear some of her story too along the way. So that'll be cool. So yeah, take a seat.
Take a seat.
Yeah, wherever you want to sit. Yep, just somewhere there. That'll be all good. And we'll get going tonight, which is very cool. So just a little bit of background. We began this journey when I had this idea with Korero, who's sitting right down here as well. Korero was on staff here at Good Neighbour. And we had this idea that we would love to be able to do social work a little bit differently, and we wanted to have a bit of a hands-on kind of engagement with families. And so Odis and Joyce were amongst the first off the blocks. Remember, it was COVID.
That's right.
And it was a bit hard to kind of get that communication going. Remember, Korero, we were like going, wow, we've got this program happening here, and we can't even get to our people because of COVID was happening, you know, and so we sort of moved through that whole thing. But before that, Surrey Grove was always on our radar for some reason. I think it was because of Sharni over here, and Sharni and her whānau were living in that area, and Sharni, I think you probably started this. I think you probably do. Come on.
Yeah.
Come and take a seat up here because we want to hear the story right from the beginning. And it'll be lovely just to hear your side of it. Yeah, come and take a seat up here. Yeah. So Sharni was going to a kindy.
Yeah, whānau aroha. Up in Maryvale.
Up in Maryvale, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that kindy, you heard about Good Neighbour?
Yes. So we were referred through our, what would you call her, like our whānau support worker at whānau aroha. And she had initially referred us for, was it the firewood
yeah.
or the lawn mowing?
Yeah, either of those two things.
Yeah.
And was the firewood any good?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
What I remember about Sharni is every time we used to take something to Sharni, she was the one that would just distribute it, even though she had great need herself, to all her whānau and friends across the road. And I think that's where you connected up with these guys, the neighbours.
Yeah, I think that's how we kind of started.
Yeah.
To be close, to be.
Yeah. That's right.
Whānau.
And so that began the kind of what we call this whānau journey, and so we began just to kind of get to know you guys, and then you came down, and I think towards the end there you were actually a volunteer at Good Neighbour.
Yeah, so after all the help that you guys gave, so I remember I was always catching up with you and Toddy.
Yeah.
I just thought, like, how could I give back to you guys after everything that you guys had done for us? So I then put in for my volunteer mahi with Shazza.
Yeah.
And then I come down to the food rescue team, and I started doing food rescue.
Nice.
Voluntary, and and that was a huge eye opener. I think for me, knowing that, like, I thought about it, and if you guys didn't go around and rescue all that kai, like, where was it going? And we have like hungry whānau out here.
It's true.
And then I saw it come here, and then we'll distribute it out to places like Food Bank, St. Vincent de Paul's, Salvation Army, all our community hookups like our school, our kindy, our community centre. And to me, that was like I hit all those birds with one stone because I utilised all those services and I got to give back to all those services by just coming here. Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
Sharni.
It's cool,
Yeah.
Where's Simone? We're signing her up for Ambassador for Good Neighbour. Food rescue, right there. All right. So no, that's good. And so over the years, that's been very cool. And you probably didn't know this, but you guys were our entry point into Surrey Grove, right? And that's how we were managed to get in there, and we've done whole street cleanups, and just got to know some of the whānau there. Which has been really, really cool, seeing that whole journey there along the way. So, and so now, Sharni, what's happened to you now? You went to Tauranga and you went back.
So we moved here initially in 2016, and then we moved back to Rahui Pōkeka, back to Huntly in 2021.
Yeah.
And since being home, I've kind of like put all this, like the aroha and energy that I put into Mirabel back home into my home community.
Yeah.
And even still, I was just saying to the girls, like, I owe you guys so much, like, even to this day, like, the impact that you guys have had on our life. And even you and Christine always been, like, advocates for me and the kids. Like, we appreciate you guys so much. And so we're more than happy to come back and share the story for you guys.
Oh, that's awesome, hey, that's good. So we've kept in touch anytime. I know when Sharni's moved house because I get a call from one of the land agents.
See, always advocating.
Do you know
for
this
me.
Sharni? Yeah, give her the house.
And I got my house, and like honestly, like me and my kids had been out of our home since our home got sold. We were kind of like in an emergency housing situation, and then we finally got the opportunity to get this house. And if it wasn't for Cam's word, we would not have the home that we're in this
too
day.
kind, yeah.
So.
No, that's good. It's been awesome to see, and of course you've now got involved with some hikois.
Yep. So I'm currently involved in lots of community mahi back home. I do a lot of youth work. That's one of my passions, as well as the Kaitiaki project, which is a alternative healing kaupapa that I'm quite passionate about. As well, and I don't know if you know this, but you guys gave us food the other week for our Rotorua hikoi.
Wow.
How about that?
How about that?
Yeah, so Mads come down here.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there we go. So that's fantastic. I mean, for those who don't know, we have about 70 different community organisations that kai goes to, and it gets distributed out because we're like a wholesaler here, so it gets distributed out to various community organisations, and so it's fantastic to kind of hear back how that kai has made a difference to them being able to do their program well and go the extra mile. So so no, that's good, Sharni. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So. Tell us, Joyce and Odis, how did you guys meet? Like, I'm just interested. Just take us back. I mean, was it at the rugby? Was it at the I don't know. Where was it? Was it at a restaurant somewhere or?
We were neighbours.
Neighbours. Okay, neighbours. Yeah.
So we kind of grew up together.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereabouts was this?
In Morrinsville.
Yeah.
Odis was actually one of my brother's best friends.
Right.
He lived across the road from me.
Yes.
And I guess we kind of met while we were out on the street drinking, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank goodness for brothers, eh? Yeah.
Yes.
So Morrinsville's your hometown. That's where you sort of kind of grow up there, and you're back there again now.
Yes.
Yes, back there again now. That's good. Yeah. So what brought you to Tauranga then? How did you get to come, Odis? How did you get to come to Tauranga, and how did you settle in Surrey Grove? What was how did that happen?
Oh, so I actually went to jail.
Yeah.
And the house that we were living in Rotorua was under my name. So when I got incarcerated, Joyce and the kids had to move out.
Okay. Yeah.
So they came to Tauranga.
Yeah, well, we were actually living in a motel, me and my kids, for a few weeks before they found us a house over here in Tauranga. So we were actually, Yeah, we were just moving from town to town, city to city, and yeah, the first available house was on Surrey Grove. That's
Yep.
how we got here, so we didn't actually know anybody.
Wow.
We came because we were desperate for a house.
Yep.
It was only me and my children, and my husband was in jail.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And then you arrived in Surrey Grove, and then met some of the lovely neighbours.
I think it
Eventually.
was like does anyone have a lawnmower, or something like that? That's how we met.
It was.
Borrow the lawnmower.
Borrow the lawnmower. No, that's good. That's good. And so, as I said, you teamed up with Good Neighbour with our whānau journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were our, believe it or not, our first trial. So for those you don't know, MSD gave us a little pilot that we were able to connect with 10 whānau and work with them in trying to connect with them and just get to know them and see if there's any way that we could journey alongside them and support them in any way, whatever that will kind of look like.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, what did you guys get involved in? At Good Neighbour or I think, yeah,
We
remember.
did some voluntary mahi,
That's
go
right.
around cleaning up the houses and stuff.
That's right, yeah, remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that big job that we had from underneath the house.
Yes.
You had the lady that had all her whānau that put all their stuff underneath her house for a long time, and we
Right.
actually went in there and
Yep.
and emptied it all out, and it was
Yeah.
like years piled up.
Yeah.
So I
know.
think that's one of the projects that we had come in and volunteered and helped with
Yep.
out in Welcome Bay.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which
remember
was
that.
awesome.
Yeah. And then we had the big Surrey Grove clean-up day. Remember that?
We did, yes.
Yeah. And we canvassed. What we did was we canvassed all the residents there, and if they had any jobs, and then we got them involved doing the, some of the mahi themselves. And then we had a big barbecue. And I remember your mum coming over and your sister.
They did, yeah.
And Nana,
They did,
Yeah, all the way from Warrensville to come and help out over
Yeah.
in the street, which was awesome.
It was actually really good because it got all our street out. Like, so we
Yep.
weren't, because we were all in our houses doing our thing and,
Yep.
addiction and all of that. But it actually gave
Yep.
the opportunity for our neighbours to all come out and
Yeah.
kind of work as a neighbourhood, as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was real cool.
Yeah. So you've got Lisa's here. Lisa's part of Accessible Properties. So she's
Awesome.
just recently joined the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's my stepsister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brevia was going to be here tonight. I'm not sure why she didn't come, but so that's pretty cool, eh? So then, because I know we were journeying quite well. You guys are you're coming down and doing cooking classes. Remember, did you get doing any cooking with Lee?
We were, yes.
Yep. And I know Odis used to come down occasionally and borrow the mower, and I know your partner at the time used to come down and get the mower. He was very fussy. He used to come down. He said, "Oh, can I borrow the mower?" He said, "The grass is getting long," and he had to try to get it with the scissors. If he couldn't, he was, like to keep it neat. Remember? Hey. He was quite fastidious like that. But anyway, so as we kind of journeyed, there came a time where things didn't go so well for you, and that was a difficult time.
Yes. Yes. Do you want-
Does anyone want to?
No, yeah, it was because, like I always say, that Tauranga was my rock bottom,
Yeah.
and this is where I was in full addiction with drugs and alcohol, and I guess for me, we were living in Tauranga, and it was a lot easy to run because we didn't have any family here, so
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't know what we used to do, and inside our home was a lot of violence and a lot of addiction and a lot of things that our children had to see.
Yeah.
And I realised then that we had to make the change to go home because I had been running for years. So Tauranga wasn't the only place. I'd also ran to Auckland, to Hamilton, to Rotorua. So regardless of where it was,
Yeah.
I was always running. So I found that once I hit rock bottom on Surrey Grove, I knew that I had to go home and
Yeah.
fix myself and
Yeah.
heal myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what was going on for you at that time, Odis?
Yeah, I was fully in addiction, stuck in addiction.
Yeah.
Had a real bad drinking problem.
Yeah.
And I was real like selfish in a way because
Yes.
all I was worried about was drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up back in jail.
Yeah.
And then when I came out, I kind of had all that time to think to myself. And I was like getting involved with the gangs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like one decision away of making my life decision. So yeah, I got out and it kind of just everything that I had been patiently waiting for and aiming for kind of just blew up in my face at that time, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be for me. So yeah, went home, decided to go home and straighten up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I remember, Korero, we were there and both of you said that you were going back and we were in tears at the office. We were so sad to see you all go because we just felt like we'd kind of, made these, beautiful connections and you would see, these all kind of going back. But as we thought about it, I don't know if you can remember, we were in a cafe over in, with Korero. We had a little karakia for you at that time. And I know at the end there, I think, as you said to Korero, "Oh, I felt that one." Hey, it was and we kind of knew, Korero, we kind of knew at that time that even though you'd hit kind of rock bottom, that this wasn't going to be the end. We had that kind of, I don't know, a bit of an insight, I guess, sort of a feeling that was in our hearts at the time, saying, "Hey, we haven't seen the last of you guys yet," and in some ways, you could say, God hadn't finished with us yet, right? He's all at work in our lives, and every one of us have a story, every one of us have a past, and so on, and so. It was probably, I was sitting in my office one day, and I don't know whether I rang you or you rang me, Joyce, but and I still remember the words you said to me. Campbell, it's great to talk with you, but the unthinkable has happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I knew things, had to go home, and I know you'd be struggling through some stuff. And you said the unthinkable's happened. Remember that conversation? You might not.
I
don't. And we talked a little bit about. Because you then said, there's been all of these changes that's happened in my life, and we've now got jobs, and we've got some money in the bank, and we all of that kind of stuff. Do you remember that conversation? Probably
yes,
vaguely
I did.
do. Yeah.
Yes, you spoke about the budgeting because I had spoken to you about we had just started budget.
That's right.
Budgeting our money properly,
Yes.
and yeah, I do remember. I was actually outside Work and Income in Morrinsville.
Right.
I wasn't there, but I was just sitting out there in my car.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But what I was keen to explore at that time was you said the unthinkable has happened,
Yeah.
And then I said, what is the unthinkable? Do you remember what your answer was?
I don't, but
You
I
don't?
do know.
Yeah.
But I do know what the unthinkable is that me and Odis got home and we changed our lives around.
Wow.
And we not only did we get sober, but we no longer have violence in our home, and our children no longer see violence anymore. We're clean off drugs and alcohol. We both have full-time jobs now. There's just so many, and I think I've been in abuse for like maybe 13 years, and my husband no longer hurts me anymore, and we are married.
Wow.
So so many amazing victories, but I guess from all that pain and that we had been through, we were able to overcome that.
Yeah.
And I believe that one of the reasons to how we started bettering ourselves was Man Up in Legacy, that had helped us start taking ownership of ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I actually started going to Legacy first,
Yeah.
and I went ahead of my husband, and once I started coming home and kind of changing the person who I used to be, he ended up going to Man Up, and and we haven't looked back since.
Awesome.
So yeah.
No, that's fantastic. You got anything to add to that, Odis?
Yeah, like, we got baptized.
Wow.
We got
Yeah,
baptized.
we got baptized.
Got married.
Yeah, we're married under the covenant of God.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Although there's no violence and drugs and alcohol in our home,
Yeah.
like we're still learning. Like, we're not perfect.
That's
Yes.
right.
We still go through challenges
Yes.
and the obstacles, and
Beautiful.
but like we just don't go back to the drink, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't indulge in any
Yeah.
drugs. So
Yeah. Good.
we have a lot of support networks. We go to Destiny's Church,
Yeah.
which has really helped us
Yeah.
connect
Yeah.
to a lot of inspiring people,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like-minded people that have sort of come from the lifestyle that we used to live, and they're really successful now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Man Up and Legacy has really changed. Man Up's changed my life. It's not just a program. It kind of becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe that it's really good to have that,
Yeah.
especially in the neighbourhoods that.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, like, with all our whānau kind of stuck in poverty,
Yeah.
because there's a way out.
Here's a way out. Yeah.
There's always a way out.
Yeah.
And
That's good. Yeah. So I was thinking about it just before, and because what Good Neighbour does is based on the whare tapawhā, all right. So we have things about our mind, and that kind of thing. We have also about community. We also have about our bodies, tinana, and then we also have the wairua part of the house, of the whare, right? And often, we can help with firewood and food and all the other kind of bits and pieces. But I think somewhere along the line, and I don't know whether you agree with this, is the wairua part. When you have a wairua experience, sometimes that's kind of like changes the motor on the car, all right? Instead of painting it red, expecting it to go faster, there's a change from here, which gives us the motivation, gives us the drive to even keep going, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? And we connect into that. And I remember you saying one of the things that was part of that wairua journey was letting go of the past. Because I asked you, what was the key? What was the one thing that really turned, enabled you to turn the corner? And I don't know what I was expecting, but you said letting go of the past, and then I was like, oh, okay. So what does that look like? How do I let go of the past? What does that mean to me? Mean to you? Explain that to me. What did that look? So then you told me the story about what you guys have done. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, now that I think of it, because you're right, letting go of the past, but I think healing's more important to letting go of the past, because you will find that there will always be situations or places or things that'll kind of remind you of the past. So I think first, back then it was very important to let go of the past. But I think for me it was healing, and forgiveness is another big one for me, because I think you can always let go of something, but if you actually don't forgive yourself, it'll always be easier to get stuck in that. So I think for me, now that I can realise, it's forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
Being forgiven yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And being able to offer that forgiveness to others.
Yes.
And to be able to move past those hurts, because we all have them, right? We all have things in our lives which we find difficult to get over. And it's probably, I've met lots of people, not just yourselves or whatever, and even in your own life, and you drag those things around with us, right? And they become like big heavy stones, like a big sack. And sooner or later you've got to make a choice whether you're going to let that go, or you're going to continue just to be stuck in that, and the freedom that comes from that. So you guys have kind of noticed that change, right? So you've kind of let go of the past. You've kind of been involved in, forgiving yourself and others, and beginning that with the Destiny Church, and with, I guess you could say with with Jesus in your life. You know, he's made a real difference in your life. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from you, from your story. Not putting words in your mouth, but that's where it's at. And that has enabled you, those principles that you now live by, have strengthened that wall on your whare, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the fruit of what we're kind of seeing now. So, I mean, what does it mean to you now? Like, I mean, your family, I mean, what changes have you seen, you know? How has this all helped you? How does it help you going forward each day, each week? What does that look like?
There's just more hope, you know?
Yeah.
Our hope is more like stronger.
Yeah.
Which activates our faith.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of faith kind of
Yeah.
gets bigger.
Yeah.
And then the love comes, you know.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it keeps that love alive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because I see some of your Facebook posts, and they're full of love. and kindness to each other, and you know what I mean. I just see a new. Hey, you know, notice that, Sharni? You know what I'm saying? There's that new, you know, sense of respect for one another, and that working together as a team, as a family. I see lots of posts where you're at your rugby games and involved with your kids, and that certainly was a big change.
Because one thing that we have learnt is that. Unity is the most important in our home, like in our relationship, other than ourselves. As for me, we have a beautiful saying: "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," and that's huge to us because when we didn't have God in our lives, as for me, like I always felt alone, but. Today I'm not alone, and I never will be alone ever again, because God's always with us. And for me to say that, because I had no hope in my life.
That's right.
There's 100% that I would never have thought that God was real or true or alive. And today He is a huge part of our lives, and I move for Him, and I move for what He has done for us. You know, and I grow every day, and build that relationship every day with Him, because He gave me hope that there was better, and that we could get out of poverty, that poverty mindset, and it's the fruit that counts at the end, you know, and our children actually get the fruit, and the people that we love, and the people that surround us as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you've got a new community now that's inspiring and supporting you. You've made changes now, I believe, that are going to be generational.
It is. It is. We've broken so many generational curses already. And we're going to break a lot more.
Oh, fantastic.
Because it has to stop with us, or else our children are going to be going through those violences and addictions how we did, and we don't want them to go through that. Not with the pain that we used to go through.
That's right. Your kids are going to look back and they're going to say, you guys made a courageous decision. You know? And not only that, I mean, you've told me, you know, you've now got money in the bank, which you probably didn't have before. You know what I'm saying? What are your mahi at the moment? What do you do, Odis?
Oh, I work for J Swaps. I'm just an ordinary worker. But my wife's kind of making it for herself.
I'm just doing what I've always been passionate about, and that's cooking. You know, I've always... I actually have... My husband does more cooking in the kitchen. He's
a good cook, by the way. He's a really good cook.
Cooking in the house, actually. But I like cooking, I enjoy it.
So, no, she's underselling it. What are you doing? You're head chef.
Yes, I am. At a rest home.
At a rest home?
In Morrinsville, and I've been... I've been there for about 7 months, and I think I only went in there as a kitchen hand, and I think maybe 4 weeks after, then I became head chef to today. So that see what happens. I mean, this is why I wanted you guys to come over and hear the story, because when we first met them in Surrey Grove, they were without hope.
really just aimless. You know, in fact, they were involved with activity that was really gonna break that whole family.
Yeah.
And in fact, your kids and that were destined to living with whatever was in front of them.
Yeah, we were actually
And-
ripping off the MSD.
Yep.
So we weren't even, with the benefit. We were on the benefit for about 13, 14 years.
Yep.
And 13 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living in like housing New Zealand,
Yep.
taking the
Yep.
system for granted.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Like we snapped out of it.
We did.
Yeah.
We got out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is why I wanted you to hear the story, because this is not every day that stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
And it's not every day that someone can make that kind of recovery, right? Because when you guys said to me, we're going back, remember, Karina? Odis was going in one direction, Joyce is going in another direction, and for what it looked like from us from the outside, it was all over. It was done and dusted. It was finished, right? It was broken beyond repair,
Yeah.
right? And I guess that's the power of forgiveness, and that's the power of God's love.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
Amen.
And when that hits our hearts, all right, when that kind of it changes us here, eh?
Take a deep breath.
Yeah,
Get your te ha.
yeah. And that's kind of why we do Good Neighbour, right? At the end of the day, because we want to see people's lives not only just have warmth in their homes, which is part of what we're called to do, but also that we have warmth in their hearts. And that can then be outworked into our lives in so many different ways, and we've seen that here tonight, and with Sharni as well. And so it's been really inspirational for me just to hear that story, because a lot of times you put mahi into like Good Neighbour, or into the community like you are doing, and very often you don't see or hear some of the results. You don't, it's kind of like you're planting seeds, and nothing really comes back at times. But we always know that, when you plant a seed, there's always going to be a harvest, right? There's always going to be something that comes back. And it's lovely to hear your story tonight, because we know that these seeds have germinated. They've not only germinated, they're actually quite strong and growing really well. So as you look now, you're in Surrey, you looked out, there was really no hope. Now you're living life, and you look out. What is it that you what's exciting on your heart now? What do you think, could I use the saying, like, what do you think God's calling you to? What is it that you kind of really want to do, or want to be more of, or what's your vision? How does that journey looking for you?
So I want just to help people, like
Cool.
get them out of that.
Yeah.
That stuckness.
Yeah. Stuckness.
Like when
Cool.
they're like sort of down and out, and and there's no way out.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I was lucky to actually facilitate Man Up
Beautiful.
in Matamata.
So now you're leading that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Because when I first met you were quite shy. You weren't leading anything. Hey? You
I
were
was kind of lost.
running away from that.
Yeah.
But you didn't realise there was a leader within you.
That's right.
Hey,
Yeah. Yes.
that layers.
Yeah.
And you pulled that back.
Now, one thing that's always stuck with me, you told me when we were doing that wood, is think of what your son would say when he's 21. And I've always carried it. It's carried with me. So
Yeah.
it's been a big
Yeah.
because my kids are only getting older now.
Yeah, they are.
And there's a lot of challenges with the older kids, but like it's all worth it.
It's all worth it. Yeah. Fantastic.
It's only just going. We're just moving forward. We're not going back. So
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They often say your misery becomes your ministry. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff that's happened in your life just equips you to help people in the same situation, right? And in fact, you're the best person to help them, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in some way, that's that the stuff that's been bad in the past gets turned around for good now, you know, and can now be used in a positive way. So that's fantastic. Odis, yeah, we look forward to how that comes.
Yeah,
and
exciting.
And there's probably going to be many other families who, you know, thank God that you took up that challenge and you pioneered that work, eh? And Te Aroha, is it?
Matamata.
Matamata, sorry. Matamata, yeah. No, that's fantastic. And what about you, Joyce? What's burning on your heart? I mean, other than being head chef?
I'm going to be the beacon.
The beacon?
And the light for ladies who have been in my shoes before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I facilitate legacy in Te Aroha. And I actually, just to share this with you, in the last few weeks I've actually been praying in the rest home. So a lot of our elderly have been passing away due to sickness, and they've actually asked me to start praying for the rooms and that. And not only just the rooms too, but you know, like our workers, because they see a lot of death every day, and our bosses, because of you know, the pressure that they hold. And that's really what my purpose is to be used for God's work, and to help women. Because I know, especially when I was in Surrey Grove, when I felt alone 100%, and I literally was alone because I didn't have any whānau that was here. You know, there was a time when I had no car and I had my 4 children, and it was just us. And then I remember you're always calling, or you're always ring, how are you going, Joyce? And I would actually lie to you and say, yeah, I'm doing great, but actually I wasn't. And it was because of you that you shared, like you were always, you know, checking in and making sure we're okay. And you know, whether, you know, you got the right answer or not, you always kept coming back. Even if we had been drinking or partying or whatever in our homes, you know, one great thing about you is that you didn't judge us. You're always there ready to help support wherever we needed. Whether it be for kai or for to keep our children warm. So that's something that I'm really grateful for, you know, because we actually did need you, and it helped us to go home. Because a good man was, you know, coming in to check on us, and you know, being able to see the other side of, you know, what a good person is, you know, and always seeing that person and keeping that in my mind, like actually there is another way, you know. So you're a huge inspiration to us, without us even realising.
Without me realising. But so sometimes, you know, it's they say sometimes you know, you can't get the message. The message can only be spoken about after impact, you know, sort of way. So in some ways that's where we kind of life first and lip second. All right, we kind of share with our life, and then we kind of share with our mouths the reason for the hope that's in us, right? And so that's always what we've tried to do along the way, and it's great to have you guys here today. So I mean, what would you say to people in your, like, you know, back in Surrey, you know, people who may be stuck? What would you say to them tonight? What would be your message to them? What would you want to convey? Sharni, what do you think?
I have heaps. I have heaps of little quotes to that.
Yeah, go on. Let's have one of them.
I guess. So like for me, it's like being that beacon of light, being that lighthouse for other people, you know, for those that are struggling in the dark. Trying to find that light. But then sometimes I like tell people, like, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel, like you are the light, so light that bitch up. Sorry, excuse my language. Just you are the light, it's within you. Well,
just be who you're called to be.
If not now, when? If not you, then who? So
good. Be the change you want to see.
Be the change you want to see.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you want to add anything, Odis, in closing?
For myself is, you know, like, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
No one's a lost cause.
It's massive. It's massive. Yeah. Joyce, anything you want to add? Last closing words.
Just don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
No, one thing that I always stand by is always back yourself.
Yeah.
You know, forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is huge.
Yeah.
Let's start with forgiveness, and the rest will ride with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Why don't you give these guys a big hand? Sharing their story tonight, and coming all the way from Morrinsville tonight. Michael, before we go, Jace, do you want to just come? Jace is one of our board members, and it's been our privilege to journey with Jason. He's been probably one of the founders of Good Neighbour, right from the very start.
Oh,
when
from the medicine hut.
Hey?
From the medicine dispensary.
Yeah.
Really?
From the
Fiji.
Yeah. So Jason
Wow.
from the medical dispensary in Fiji.
That's
Yeah. So you recognise him.
Yeah, I know. That's how I was
Still as good looking as ever. Hey, still as good looking as ever. But anyway, without Jason's immense generosity and support, you know, Good Neighbour wouldn't have happened to the degree. And also to Lorraine, who's one of our board members here tonight, and Simone, sorry. I was sitting there thinking, what the heck? Simone, who's our GM, and also to the other staff here tonight, is Michael. Who else is here tonight? Karina, who was on staff at the time, was very inspirational at the time. Christine, who was on staff at the time. And there's others who couldn't be here tonight. It's been our privilege to journey with you. The journey is not done. It's only just beginning.
That's right.
And we're going to be us old fellas are going to be handing the baton on to you guys to lead forward. And it's just been a privilege that our lives have intersected, and we've had the opportunity to get to know one another and to hear your stories. It's a really encouragement to us and to the board here tonight to continue the mahi of Good Neighbour. And also we just want to ask Jason if you just pray a little karakia, a little blessing on you as you go back to Morrinsville, that you will indeed be the beacon, and that you will be able to be the leader in that situation and see the impossible become possible as you go forward. So, Chase, would you just mind closing? Yeah.
Well, you're a real inspiration to me, guys, all three, because you know, as a board member, and I can probably say this on behalf of all of us board members, you know, we get caught in the boardroom and we get caught up with staff and volunteers and everything else, but we don't always get on the coalface, and we don't always see what's happening behind the scenes. But to see it and hear it tonight is such a blessing, to say, you know, that the work that we put in is actually producing something at the other end, and it's just a real heartfelt blessing to me. I'm actually from Morrinsville myself, so connection. So that's another one. That's another tick. So I just want to tell you guys how much you've blessed me tonight individually. You know, and it's just a real inspiration, and for all of us board members and staff to continue doing, and volunteers and everyone that's involved.
That's right.
The good work, and continue it, because it's just so precious. So let's just say a quick prayer for these guys tonight. Lord, we just want to thank you for this lovely couple, and Father, the transformation in their lives. Lord, it's just a real inspiration to all of us, and we give you the glory for your love and your grace and your forgiveness. And Lord, your acceptance and your love, and Father, for the future going forward, what you have in store for them, I believe it's going to be exciting, and Lord, there'll be a whole bunch of lives that'll be touched from it. It'll be a real ripple effect. So we give you glory tonight, and we thank you for this time of fellowship, and we just ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. All right, give them one another hand. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joyce. So cool. You come and share, Sharni. So much. It's just something from us.
Thank you, Paul.
Right, mate. Cool. Awesome. All right, so the program goes a bit like this now. Just hang around. If you'd like to come and chat to these guys a bit more, anything they've said is spark something for you. That's all good. You can kind of they'll be here to share some stuff. And there's going to be tea and coffee finish off the rest of the curry. If you need to take some home, and then feel free to take some home or whatever. Michael will help you with that. But yeah, don't need to rush away, and just enjoy a little bit of fellowship tonight. And thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it.